Hey, welcome back everybody to another episode of Up, Up, and Away, a comic book movie review podcast. My name is Joe Gilpin. I'm joined as always by my brother,
Matt.
How you doing, Matt?
Same as always.
I'm doing pretty well. We just watched a great
that
movie.
Made good.
Yeah. Every week we get together. Every Tuesday we bring you a whole bunch of news, stuff that's going on in the comic book superhero kind of world. Every Friday we get together, we watch a movie, we review it, let you guys know what we thought of it, break it down beat by beat. Today we're going over the fourth installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1, Thor, from 2011. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. We're going to break it down fully. But real quick, thank you to everybody who's liked our page recently. We have a lot more people who've liked our page. Thank you to everybody who's leaving reviews on iTunes. We are officially a 5-star podcast on iTunes. And that is really cool to me. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah. This has been a real blast to be able to do, to get together with my brother, talk about the stuff we talk about anyway, and to record it, give it to a whole bunch of different people, and we really appreciate the feedback we're getting.
It's true.
With all that said, Matt, would you like to start him off and go with a little bit of the background of this movie, the baseball card stats of Thor from 2011?
Yeah, before I start, interesting enough, I'm looking at the poster. The tagline was, "Courage is immortal."
That's weird. That doesn't really come up in the movie at all.
Yeah, that's why I was like, huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie was released on...
Loyalty never sleeps.
Yeah.
Sure. It's true. It doesn't come up at all in the movie, but it's true. Do you think studios just have like a list of like random ones they can pull at any given time?
I guess that works.
Yeah. Love knows no continent. Sure. That works for Thor.
Yeah. Asgard could be a continent.
Yeah.
This movie came out on May 6th in 2011, so about 5 years ago.
Nice little summer release.
Yeah.
Marvel Cinematic Universe gaining a ton of steam. Yeah. 3 movies, 3 big financial successes.
Yeah, and this one was no different. It had a budget of $150 million. Do you want to guess what the box office draw was?
Ooh, for a summer, and this was just starting to gain steam. I'm going to guess like a 375. Pulled 375.
Oh, more.
More? 450.
You're right on the button. It's 449.
449? God damn it, I was close.
One day you'll get it right.
One day I'll get it 100% right, and everyone will know I cheated.
It's 449.3. So.
Fucking round me up.
That would round you down.
Whatever. Round up anyway. That's what I want.
Yeah, if you
keep going with this.
If you round it down, you take away the money. This movie was directed by Kenneth Branagh, which is very interesting because he's a Shakespearean director.
Yes, he has a big Shakespearean... So that's why I gave him this, because Thor is known throughout his run in the Marvel Comics as this big Shakespearean, larger-than-life character who is always involved in different kind of Norse mythological things. He even gets involved in a lot of Greek mythology from time to time. And so that's why Kenneth Branagh was tapped for this, assumedly.
And... for those who don't know, Kenneth Branagh played Gilderoy Lockhart in Harry Potter.
Stop bringing that up. You brought that up.
That's interesting. That's a fun fact.
That is the definition of a fun fact.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah.
It's harmless. So that's, if you've seen him on screen, it's probably from that.
Yeah.
Stealing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a thief.
Yeah.
He was the fat Jew of the Harry Potter universe.
Whoa.
No, the Instagram account.
Oh.
Whoa, what did you think I was going on?
I thought you said a fat Jew.
Cut
that.
No, I'm not cutting that. That is staying in. That's why that guy is an extra piece of shit. It's an Instagram account that goes around and is well known for stealing jokes and making money off of it. And you can't even really criticize because then moments like this happen. That guy's an asshole. He's the real villain of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Everybody go tweet at him.
Yeah. His dog has a modeling account. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That guy's the worst. He's the worst. He looks like a mayonnaise avalanche. He's the worst. Continue.
This movie is produced, of course, by Kevin Feige.
Sure.
We know
the architect.
I don't even know if I even have to say that anymore.
Yeah.
The story is by J. Michael Straczynski and Mark Protostevich. Sorry if I butchered your name, Mark.
Those are, at least, J. Michael is involved heavily in comics. And has a cameo in this movie.
Yeah, that's true. And the screenplay was written by Ashley Edward Miller, Zach Spence, and Don Payne.
I don't know a lot about them.
No, but I think they did a fine job.
They did a fine job. Continue.
Do you want to try and guess the Rotten Tomatoes score?
Rotten Tomatoes score. I'm going to guess it's around an 80.
You're close.
What is it?
77.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
One day we should compile where all the Rotten Tomato scores are.
Yeah, so where they have their ranking.
Yeah, what their official ranking is. Because
compare.
we do a ranking of apples to apples as best we can. We'll include that at the end. Right now our list looks number 1 Iron Man, number 2 Incredible Hulk, number 3 Iron Man 2.
Yeah. And I think that's how most people would go.
Yeah, we're not taking too many big leaps there.
Yeah.
Things are pretty 1 for 1 so far.
Yeah.
Maybe one day that'd be cool to just have an episode where we just put together a global ranking of every single comic book movie.
Oh, that'd be nuts.
That'd be a nightmare.
I wonder what's at the bottom.
I bet the internet would love it.
Yeah.
I bet there would be no controversy. I think I know what's at the bottom. Sorry, Elektra.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible movie. It's a terrible movie.
I don't even remember what goes on in that movie. So let's stop talking about a bad movie. Let's start talking about a good movie.
I really enjoyed this movie. We're going to break down the plot, then we're going to talk about the characters, then we're going to talk about the themes that go on throughout it, and throughout this, we'll get a better look altogether at the movie Thor.
Thor.
Thor!
God of Thunder.
Thunder! Although we don't see him summoning any thunder, really, in this movie too much.
Or lightning.
Lightning, yeah, but same thing. He doesn't even do that a ton.
Same thing.
It's close enough.
I took a meteorology class. They're not the same thing.
They're close.
Actually, I took 2 meteorology classes.
Well, yeah, you fucked up in one of them.
No, it's one you have to take with a lab, and one you take without a lab.
And you took meteorology for both?
Yeah.
Are you really interested in meteorology?
No, but it was super easy because I did the one with the lab, and so it was just easier.
Did you answer Thor for anything?
No. I wish.
Yeah.
I did well off Dean's list.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Quit puffing me up. I'm going to start puffing up Chris Hemsworth.
He needs no puffing up. He is already quite big.
This movie starts, and I like the way it starts. It starts with Natalie Portman's character, Dr. Jane Foster, Stellan Skarsgård's character, Dr. Erik Selvig, and Kat Dennings' character, Darcy.
Yes.
And she is now
one broke girl.
Yeah, she's one broke girl. She is the intern of Natalie Portman, and they come across a storm because they are astrophysicists.
Yeah, Dr. Jane Foster. She's tracked to this particular place in time. There should be a crazy meteorological event that she can study that disrupts the natural order of astrophysics.
And something does happen. And
a gorgeous blonde man falls from the sky.
Yeah, and they hit him with their van.
Like you do. That's a giant field. And have you ever seen those videos where people just be biking along in the desert and then they just happen to go over a hill and hit the only other person in that desert?
Those are great.
That's kind of what this scene reminds me of, where there's just miles and miles of open field and she happens to run into him.
Yeah. And then they all run over to him, fearing he's dead.
Yeah.
And then
we are starting mid-story, in media res, as it were.
Yeah, and then it cuts, and then it goes, shows you Asgard. It jumps straight up to Asgard. And it shows us, it is a vision, not a vision, but it's a flashback of young Thor and young Loki.
It was a very sci-fi opening.
Yeah, it really was. But I dug it. And they're being told by their father, Odin, played by the wonderful Anthony Hopkins.
Big get at the time, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. Was he the biggest actor they'd gotten?
He really was.
Just Marvel in general at that point.
Absolutely, Academy Award-winning actor. Everybody respects him. Everybody understands that he's an amazing actor. And he was brought in for the role of Odin. Not traditionally the biggest role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's a role that demands a ton of gravitas.
Did Marvel break Anthony Hopkins? Did you see he signed on to the new Transformers movie?
No shit. Oh, that's disappointing.
He's doing bad movies all of a sudden.
Oh, that's very disappointing. Anthony.
What are you doing,
Anthony.
buddy?
Did somebody eat his brain?
You're like
Red Dragon? Yeah.
Come on, Anthony. Call him Tony Hopkins. Yeah, it's just super disappointing. I saw that and it was what are you doing?
But Odin is giving this big speech about...
At this time, he was a well-respected actor.
He still is. He could go and do anything he wants.
That's true.
So he gives this big speech about you are meant to be kings, you're meant to lead, what the realms are. Let's take a minute and just break down I want to talk about the very theory of a character like Thor. It is super weird to have a god as a comic book character at all. It's almost sacrilegious.
I agree, but while I agree, it's also interesting that...
Are there people out there that still worship Thor?
Yeah, in the Scandinavian countries.
Word. I wonder what they think of this.
They probably love it.
Yeah, they're super chill.
Yeah, honestly.
Sup, that's lit.
It's not how they talk about it.
Thank you, Sweden.
In Norway and shit.
Yeah, is lit.
Is any god that... Every god we see in every religion, they're not as flawed as Thor is.
No, Thor is very flawed. And he is in the mythology as well.
Is he? Well,
it's included in the mythology that he's a very temperamental... It's almost like a Greek thing where... It's very Greco-Roman. Yeah. Where the gods are temperamental and emotional beings that are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But to include him as a comic book character, and a major one at that, he's an Avenger, and he was an original Avenger. What does it mean to be a god in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? First, physiologically. They're not immortal.
No, he can die.
He can die. It'll take a lot.
Yeah.
He's certainly incredibly durable.
He almost died in this movie.
Yeah. Very true.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. There's conflict in this movie.
Not just running around.
Yeah.
Although I probably would still like this movie if that were the case. It's very pretty.
It's very pretty.
But the thing about Thor, I totally lost my train of thought.
They're kind of like aliens, right?
I remember what I was going to say. You raise a good point, but we haven't really seen the world's reaction to Thor.
We really haven't, even to this day in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A little bit in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but even then...
A little bit even in Thor 2, kind of, when he goes to London, and, like, Jane Foster's running around, and people, like, are, like, videotaping Thor with their phones. Like, that's Thor out there. Yeah, do people accept him as a god? I don't know. Would this break some sort of second coming kind of thing? Our grandmother would worship him. Oh, 100%, but that's just because of them abs. So I think what it means. I think what it means to be a god in Marvel. First of all, the first thing you have to understand is he doesn't come from heaven. He comes from Asgard, which is another quote unquote realm. And when I say realm, it appears that they're just these distant galaxy planets that are connected by some sort of wormhole kind of thing that creates easy access between the worlds. And this is that is the basis for the Foster theory now. Yes. After this movie. Because Thor basically tells Jane, this is what it's like. You were kind of right. Yeah. He's essentially a very humanoid alien in most ways. And the reason that we think of him as a quote-unquote god is because they came here thousands of years ago, waged war with the Frost Giants on Earth, or as they would call it, Midgard. Yeah. And won and saved humanity, so... we, especially the Scandinavian countries where I assume the war was held, worship Thor as a deity. I think it's in Norway. You're right. He's not a god. He's an alien. He is an alien. We're going to accept... the term god will be thrown around a lot. Thor, we don't accept him as a god in the way that most people would think about. This is a god who has control over a people, a realm, if you would. That's a great point. He's an alien. Yeah. The word God's going to get thrown around all the time, though. Yeah, especially in regards to Thor. Why do you think Earth is such a key realm? Why is Midgard so important? I think it's in the name. I think it's in the middle. It's just in the middle of everything else? Yeah. And it's just kind of vulnerable? Well, maybe not vulnerable. Maybe it's like... vulnerable might be the right word, but it's like, it's right there. Maybe not for the taking. It's kind of... like, it's important. It's kind of like Hawaii. Like... it's not that we love Hawaii, although we do, as a country, but we love having some shit to keep an eye on China. You know what I mean? Like, especially during World War II, that's when we, like, took Hawaii, basically. It was to keep an eye on Japan. We were too far away from Japan, and we needed something to keep an eye on them, so we... hey, Hawaii, wouldn't it be great if you guys were a state? Not really, man, we're pretty cool over here. Good point. You guys are going to be a state now. Very... fucked up situation with what we did to Hawaii. Although they're super cool about it now. They just surf and smoke meth. Ice, brah. It's called ice. Like frost. Like frost. It all ties together. Okay. It all comes around. I don't know if that timeline adds up.
I think I'm right.
I think Hawaii was...
Listen, if I'm wrong, I will say nothing and just continue to pretend I'm correct.
It's true. He will. They actually show us that battle that you were talking about where Odin led the fight against the frost giants of Jotunheim, which is another one of those realms,
yes.
planet.
We would recognize it as like a Hoth-style ice planet.
Yeah, it's true.
I know, it's why I said
way darker.
Yes.
Hoth was still very bright.
It's like a Frank Miller Hoth.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good way to describe it. The Asgardian warriors, they defeat the frost giants, and they seize their source of power, the Casket of Ancient Winters. And they use this to just like freeze the shit out of people.
This will be the MacGuffin for a portion of this movie.
Yeah, this is an important relic.
Yes.
And it's in Odin's weapons chamber.
It is not, like most people assume, the Tesseract.
No.
It has nothing to do with the Tesseract.
It looks a little similar?
It looks similar. I can understand how you could think you crack it open, maybe the Tesseract is in there. Not the case.
It's not, no. And because that question is answered later in this movie.
Sort of.
At the very end of this movie.
Sort of.
And in Captain America.
Yes.
And then it goes to present Asgard, where Thor is about to ascend to the throne of Asgard.
We do not see any of his ascension, but he has been named the more quote-unquote worthy brother, and he is being given the title as the next king of Asgard.
Yeah, I think they're giving him the kingship there.
Oh, no, I thought it was when Odin stepped down.
No, I think it was right then and there.
It was right then and there, you are now the king.
Yeah.
Then how did Odin come back and take the power back from him?
Because he never gave it to him.
Oh, right, it got interrupted.
Yeah.
And then it was never officially handed off.
Yeah, well, let me continue with the plot, and then I'll answer that. Is that while the coronation's going on, Odin gets kind of like a vision of that frost giants have attempted to retrieve the...
He feels it deep in his plums.
Yeah. They have tried to steal back the Casket of Ancient Winters. And
or at least that something is amiss.
No, that's what their goal was.
Yeah, but Odin senses something is going on.
Yeah, and he goes, frost giants. Because he's a good king. He's smart.
I've smelled that stank before. Yeah. Frost giants.
Frost giant stank. And so Odin sticks this big, hulking metal creature called the Destroyer on them. And it comes out of the wall and just annihilates.
It was super reminiscent of the Sentinels.
Yeah.
From X-Men Days of Future Past.
That's true.
Even though they would come later.
Right.
But they're very similar in design, I think.
Yeah. This is a lot less fluid in its movement. This is much more of a robot type.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still a powerful machine.
A lot more of a brawler.
Yeah, and this machine will come back later. And then Thor is very pissed that his coronation was interrupted, and he's also pissed at Jotunheim.
Very true. He wants to start a war, basically.
Yeah,
he wants
said,
to go to war.
Let's go show these guys who we are.
He wants to show force immediately. He's very proud. He's very impulsive.
Loki is in this meeting with him and Odin, by the way.
Yes, and he is very quiet.
Yeah.
He is letting Thor explode. Thor's all ego all over the place. Yeah, and Odin's giving it right back.
And that's when he says, Thor says something to the effect of, as king, and Odin goes, well, you're not king yet.
Yeah, you're right.
And that kind of shuts Thor up. Because, like, you're not king, shut the fuck up, little boy. And, so Thor decides to
sit your ass down!
Yeah, Thor, very angry, decides to get his cronies, Sif, Lady Sif, played by Jamie Alexander, and the Warriors 3, Volstagg, Fandral, and Hogun, and Loki goes as well. They all go to Jotunheim.
Thor essentially has gotten together his closest allies and
his
best
buddies.
Warriors.
Yeah, they've done a lot of battles before.
The elite of the elite, we assume, to get together to go and have a show of force, of physical might, against the Frost Giants and let them know never to do this again. Yeah. That's his thinking.
Yeah. And
go there, kick some ass, come back, drink some brewers.
They go there, and they're basically greeted by Laufey, king of the Frost Giants.
Yes.
And
Laufey.
Laufey. Laufey. And
how are you feeling? A little Laufey.
And they fight.
Yes, it is a great fight scene.
Yeah. Might be the best fight in the movie.
I think I would agree with that, yeah. And you're seeing everybody use their skills. Thor is using his hammer to great effect. He's obviously an incredible warrior.
He's not just using his hammer, he's using it as a tool.
He's using it as a tool. He's using it a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
He's using it to project things. He's using it to throw himself like he's flying.
Yeah. Very
Loki,
resourceful and very smart warrior is Thor.
He is. Loki, even more resourceful and even more of a trickster. He's using different projections and holograms.
Mm-hmm. He's tricking his enemies.
Yes, because he's not as physically mighty.
Yeah.
He's very sunken in this movie. His look is very sullen.
Well, and to that, Tom Hiddleston was on a very strict diet.
I bet he was. He looks super drawn in for this movie,
like
which I think really works.
Yeah, and because if you see Tom Hiddleston now, like he's an in-shape guy.
Yeah.
Like he's a well put together human being. This is just not going to turn into 2 hours of us just talking about Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. He has great thighs.
It's just his facial hair is just so on point. Just a little.
Fleek, 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 fleek.
And he just wears those button-down shirts that like rolls up to the elbow.
Oh my god, his style. We need to stop the bit because it'll become very serious in a minute if we keep doing it. So they're in the middle of the battle. And we start to catch a whiff that something might be going on weird with Loki.
Yeah, because there's a moment where Volstagg gets touched by a frost giant, and it starts to...
It's frostbite. He gets severely frostbitten.
And he yells out in pain, and he yells and says, "Don't let them touch you." And Loki, a couple of seconds after this, comes into contact with a frost giant. Frost giant grabs his arm, and it burns his metal away.
Yep.
And it's touching Loki's skin, and Loki does not have the same reaction.
No, in fact, he starts to turn blue.
Yeah, his whole hand and arm go blue.
But then as soon as he lets go, he's fine again.
Yeah, and then he just stabs that frost giant. Because the frost giant looked confused, too.
Super brutal fight scene.
Yeah, and then Laufey...
Thor is doing a lot of big attacks. He's very driven by spectacle.
Yeah,
he wants to be
on a lot of them.
wants to be in the middle. He wants to be... He wants to almost die a warrior's death. He is the Cam Newton of the
he's
warriors.
dabbing on everybody. Yeah. This is like the third time we've talked about the dab on this podcast.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I think it's my fault. I'm the sports guy. And we see Laufey. He unleashes this bipedal monster, which can also run on all fours.
Yeah.
And it starts chasing all of them, and Thor murders the shit out of it.
Yes.
In a very cool way.
Yes.
He flies through its mouth, out the back of its skull, and the frost giants then begin to converge on all of them. One of them, I believe, Fondrel is hurt at this point. He got stabbed through the shoulder by an ice shot, something like that. And they're all huddled together on the edge of a cliff, and all of a sudden, Odin shoots down.
He's here to intervene.
Yeah, he's come to intervene, and Thor is ecstatic to see his father. He says, "Father, we can take them together."
Yeah, he wants to join. He wants his dad to join in the fight.
Much like his father did back in 1965 or 965 AD.
Yeah. He wants his father to relive his glory days.
Yeah.
He wants a redress. He wants another battle. He's like, "Fuck yeah, Pop's about to fuck that dude up."
Yeah, like you all are gonna die now.
World Star.
Thank you, Volstagg.
That's Thor trying to get like a chant started.
Yeah.
World Sif, right?
Realm Star. And Odin is very angry.
Yes.
At Thor, and he says, "Quiet."
Yeah, he has to talk Laufey down, saying, "I'm going to deal with this. I apologize. This is all going to be managed." Thor can't believe it.
Yeah,
and he gets sent back to Asgard.
Not even. Laufey says no peace. This guy came here for a war. You've got a war. And then he attempts to stab Odin, but Odin just kind of blasts him away.
You want to be a motherfucker? You better be prepared to motherfuck.
Yeah, and now they're gonna motherfuck.
Yeah.
And so they go back to Asgard, kind of with the tail between their legs, and Odin, furious at Thor. He's pissed off.
Sure. And I think he's also mad at himself because this is his future king, and he's obviously not
maybe he
trained him well, raised him well. Yeah, he's failed in some way to where Thor would turn to force over diplomacy.
Yeah.
I read a lot of that. I read a lot of self-anger.
That's a good point, actually. And
I know.
Shut up, Joe.
You shut up.
And This podcast also turned into 2 hours of us telling each other to shut up.
You shut up.
You're gay for Mole Man.
You're gay for Mole Man. Kids. You're both gay for Mole
Man. And, so, Odin, shockingly, I would say, banishes Thor.
He casts him out of Eden. This is...
Oh, yeah.
We're getting a lot of... I think there's a lot of biblical references in this movie. And I'm not alone in thinking that. Thor acts as a Christ figure for a lot of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets cast out of paradise by, for all intents and purposes, God.
God, yeah.
Odin feels betrayed. He feels that his son is unworthy. And so he casts his son out.
Loki is watching all of this, by the way.
Yes, Loki is there for all of it. Do you think it was necessary to cast him out of Asgard? Could he have kept him in Asgard and simply taught him better? I thought maybe.
I think that...
Or was it necessary to appease Laufey?
No, it definitely wasn't to appease Laufey. I think Odin did it for the good of Asgard. I think he said, Thor needs to get out of here and not be Thor.
He is just... Thor, for the first half hour of this movie, is Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, basically.
He really is. He is Rob Gronkowski mid-cruise.
He likes to party. Like, he's...
That's who Chris Hemsworth followed around for this movie.
Yeah,
like, people will follow around like a firefighter if they're going to play a firefighter, or, a Secret Service agent for that. He just follows around Rob Gronkowski for a week and a half.
Gronk.
It's during this time that we see Heimdall for the first time, played by Idris Elba.
We actually saw Heimdall when
he left, yeah.
When Thor and the Warriors 3 and Sif and Loki left.
Real quick shout out to Idris Elba, the least utilized actor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, maybe.
Ooh.
Tied only with, Kate Mara, who only got 3 lines.
No, give me Idris over that. Because he's been in 2 movies.
Yeah.
3 movies. He's in Age of Ultron.
Yeah. He should be. He's one of the best actors on the planet.
Yeah. People keep saying, Idris Elba for Jon Stewart Green Lantern, and I'm like, yes, please, but I think it's a problem that he's in the MCU. And it's just so unfortunate. You know what I mean? And Idris, and he's even expressed that he doesn't really like filming these movies.
No, he hates it. He hates the green screen involved.
Yeah.
So he'll never be Green Lantern. Because that's 100% green screen.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Also during this time, we saw Thor when he was angry, when he was getting together his warriors. I think it's important to mention that Loki was there. And he was trying to talk his brother out of it, but in the middle of talking him out of it, he was bringing up all of Thor's pressure points, all of Thor's...
Yeah.
He knew the buttons to press that would push Thor towards that. But during this time, he's being shown as a doe-eyed kind of deal-maker type, who is there to talk Thor down.
He's the smart brother.
Yes.
What he's kind of... The reasonable.
He almost acts like the older brother taking care of the younger brother.
And I think Thor's supposed to be older.
Thor, I believe, is supposed to be older.
Yeah.
But Thor ends up getting cast out.
Yeah, that's true. And that happened. And he gets cast out, and that's where the movie picks up, where the movie started.
Yes.
With Jane and them hitting him with their car.
He has been sent to Midgard, Earth, and now he is come into contact with a whole bunch of astrophysicists.
Yeah.
And it's not a coincidence that they were there. They were there because they were astrophysicists, and they had predicted that something would happen at this time. It's not a plot hole that he happens to run into them. It's not by coincidence.
Well, it's also interesting. They probably did, but was other stuff happening because of the Bifrost?
I think it was, because of the Bifrost.
Was opening
and closing. Because they had brought up that Thor would go down once in a while and mess with people. But I think people also potentially were coming to Earth for different times, and we'll actually get back to that later for the post-cred.
Yeah. But it's still interesting. I'm not sure it's still well enough.
It's never explained a lot.
But you can put it together.
Yeah. It's called headcanon, Matt. It's very necessary in comic book stuff.
Yeah, I understand. I know.
I know you know.
And so Jane, Darcy, and Dr. Erik Selvig all go. Notice how I give the male the doctor.
Yeah.
She's also a doctor. They take him to...
Patriarchy!
They take him to the hospital. because they think he's like drunk and all fucked up.
And also they hit him with a car.
Right, but
and tased him.
Yeah, but he's fine, really.
Yeah,
like
shocking.
Physically,
they don't know anything about him.
He says his name is Thor.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of funny moments here. When he gets hit by the car, it's kind of funny.
He gets hit by a car, then he gets discharged, then he gets hit by the same car.
Yeah, they hit him again because they're like, we gotta find that guy.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit actually later in the plot. Because Thor, he's also ripping up his room, the hospital.
He's rebelling against the doctors. He's pushing, trying to get away.
He's feeling restraint.
For the first time in his life, Thor has limits. And this is literally shown when he's restrained to the bed.
Yeah.
For the first time in his life, he can't do anything he wants. He has physical restraints and just plot restraints.
And emotional restraints.
Emotional restraints. There's just certain things that he cannot do. And this is now his life as far as he knows. He has no way of contacting his family. He has no way of contacting anything he's ever known. He's stuck on Earth.
Yeah. And not only did Odin send Thor to Midgard, he sent Thor's hammer to Midgard. And he stripped Thor of its power because he proclaimed that Thor was not worthy.
He only said, I think what he said was, whoever wields this hammer shall be and is worthy shall have the power of Thor. Yeah. Something along those lines. If I don't have it correct, I'm pretty darn close.
Right.
It's very interesting to me. Most superhero origin stories, which this pretty much is, this is an origin story.
Yeah, sure.
It's about you take somebody who's down, and eventually they become a superhero. Stark, Ant-Man, Captain America, take your pick. They all start at their weakest. This, he starts as Thor. He starts as a strong hero.
Yeah.
Quote-unquote hero.
He's going to be the king.
Yes, he's the king of Asgard. He has every power he'll eventually have. He starts the movie with.
Yeah.
But then he loses it.
They stripped of it.
He's stripped of that
by
power.
His father.
And that's a very interesting reverse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it ends up working because the way you might be able to phrase it is he goes from being a hero to being a superhero.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Well, I think he went from being a warrior.
Yeah, from a warrior to a hero is a good way to put it. Yeah. And from a king to a hero.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Thor learned there's more to being king than what he thought. King is not just going out and fucking shit up. And that's what he thought it was. And that's what he was good at.
Yeah, that's all he ever knew. That's all he ever needed.
And while there... Well, actually, after they drop Thor off at the hospital, they go back and their place is being raided by S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes, and we see Agent Coulson again. Third appearance of Agent Coulson. Small little role by... Yep.
Clark Gregg.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, Clark Gregg. I also do Jiu-Jitsu.
Clark Gregg's the man.
He is great. He is wonderful on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He is a wonderful thing that we found using the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And our mom loves him in The New Adventures of Old Christine.
Somewhat related.
He's in there.
He is in that. But during this time, it's obvious that S.H.I.E.L.D. smells that something is going on.
They found the hammer.
They found that hammer. It was mentioned in Iron Man 2. They found this hammer in the southeast.
Southwest.
Whatever.
Southeast is like Alabama.
I'm not... Whatever. Fuck you. Keep going.
Yeah, and so they're taking all of their stuff. That they have all their information. They seem to have a photo of the storm that has Thor in it. Like his shadow.
Yeah.
So they're like, this guy fell from the sky. Yeah. Something's up. And Coulson is like, we're the good guys, Dr. Foster. Like, you're going to have to trust us on this one. And
they're described as a paramilitary organization.
Yeah.
Which just draws up a lot of feelings of distrust of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, they're taking all their shit.
And I guess the world doesn't really know that much about S.H.I.E.L.D. Which will become even more interesting later on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, it's true.
They really are just incredibly secretive. Whereas I feel like we know enough about like the CIA and the FBI to like...
Yeah. Strategic Homeland...
Intelligence Enforcement and Logistics Division.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
You can say S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, I know it's S.H.I.E.L.D., but I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to... From each separate word, trying to figure out, like, what they do.
Yeah, there's really no way of telling. Vague. Yeah. No, it's just kind of like super defense.
Yeah. Well, they started with S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.'s named because of Captain America.
Yeah.
It's after his S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm aware.
And I know you're aware. I'm telling them. And,
Oh, right. People. Podcasting.
And, yeah, we're not just having a conversation. And they just kind of went backwards on it. All right, now what should the S stand for? You know?
It's a lot of reverse. It's like how I assume they named the Fleshlight, where they came up with the name first and then worked backwards. Ew. You know what I mean? What? We haven't grown at. We've said motherfucker on this podcast.
I know, but that's not gross.
It's still gross. Explore your bodies. This week, brought to you by Fleshlight. Be gross.
That'd be cool if they sponsored us.
Yeah.
We have to explain it why they sponsor us.
There would be a lot of connective tissue missing. What do you know about our audience that we don't know?
Or us.
How did you get a hold of us?
How do you have my email address?
They show up like S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Gilpin.
Just read this dossier. Continue.
Yeah. And so Jane is very, very angry. And she says, we need to go get Thor. Yes. Because we need this dude to answer all these questions. And when they go there, they again hit him with their car, which was very funny.
Sure. Good 2-beat.
Yeah, it was a great 2-beat. And they take him, and they just kind of take him back to the place, and
they start to try to poke him for information and try to get as much as they can. He's not really being particularly cooperative.
No, he's just being Thor.
He's just kind of, he's being Gronk. He's gronking out real hard.
And he's just like a big dumb puppy dog.
It's very Tarzan, a lot of the things that are going on in this part of the movie, because it's a lot of like, well, I'm used to smashing cups on the floor. Here, I'm going to...
Cultural differences.
Yeah, sure. Cultural differences. And I need a horse. That we don't have one. Well, give me a dog big enough to ride. Shit like that.
Yeah. Great jokes.
Great jokes. Weird part in this movie. At one point, he needs clothing, obviously.
Yeah.
And he can't just wear hospital scrubs around. So Dr. Jane Foster, tiny Natalie Portman, brings him a bunch of clothes and says, "Hey, these belong to my ex-boyfriend," and they fit him perfectly.
Yeah.
Who did she possibly date that was built like Chris Hemsworth?
Or built like Thor.
Or built like the mighty god of thunder, Thor. Did she used to fuck Ray Lewis?
Dr. Donald Blake?
Yeah. It should be like a shirt that's like way too small. It comes up to his belly button.
I said when we were watching the movie, it should have been one of Stellan Skarsgård's shirts.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It should be, and he just kind of looks shitty, but they're not willing to, they're like, no, we put this much muscle on him, he is showing it off.
Yeah, and we're making, what was the joke we had about the shirt?
Oh, it should be like a way too small shirt that's about to rip, and it says like, chicks dig archaeologists.
Yeah.
That's her ex-boyfriend's t-shirt that he left there.
Yeah.
That's what it actually looks
Yeah,
like.
some dork.
Some weird dork.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
Just like another little thing like that. The clothes that he's wearing in this movie.
Yeah.
Can't go shopping in this little New Mexico town.
After this, we're flipping around, and there's just a lot of those moments of, man, he's eating a lot of Pop-Tarts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
During this, plot-wise, we get another look back at Loki, who is having a big breakthrough.
He's having a meltdown almost. Because he knows that something's up, that frost giant touched him.
Yeah.
And he goes into the casket of ancient winters and touches it and begins to hold it. And Odin...
This is the Freezy box.
Yeah, the Freezy box.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you. And Odin comes up behind him, and Loki turns around, and it is revealed that Loki is a frost giant.
He is a frost giant in disguise somehow. I guess Odin has put some magical glamour spell on him.
That's what we assumed when we were watching it, because we raised that question.
Yeah, he's passing in whiteface, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty racist, Odin. I'm offended by that.
Way to go, Odin. He's going to get so boycotted. But I think this speaks strongly to Loki because he's always felt like an outsider. And I think because of that, and it confirms his intuition that he is in fact an outsider, and I think that status as someone on the outside looking in, especially the big gregarious, big dumb puppy dog Thor running around their entire lives, that's why he's so manipulative. That's how he got everything. And that's the lens through which he views everything.
Yeah.
Odin apparently, he found Loki during the battle.
He's Laufey's son.
He's Laufey's son. He was a runt of a litter type.
I was going to say that. He's the runt of the litter. That was important to note.
And he was basically left to die. Odin found him and brought him back to Asgard.
Our sister actually raised a great point that is Odin lying to him?
Do we trust him here? It's a good question because we know he's already lying about something.
Yeah.
He's already been caught in a lie. And when you're caught in a lie, there's no reason not to fix it with another lie.
Yeah. Most people honestly double down or tell a new lie. And because he says he takes him to bridge their two worlds one day.
But if he's doing that...
But he was never going to tell Loki that he was a frost giant.
Yeah, if he was going to do that, then what the fuck were you waiting for?
Yeah.
Did Laufey know that his son was over there? I don't think so.
I don't think Laufey knew that that was his son. When when Thor and all of them confronted Laufey before that first big fight, Laufey can see Loki standing there. But he's white. He looks like Tom Hiddleston. But there's no way.
I think perspective creating the concept of right and wrong is a very interesting theme throughout this movie.
Yeah.
Because it keeps going. Loki is the hero of his own story. Thor is the hero of his own story. Odin is the hero of his own story. Foster is the hero of her own story.
Yeah.
Everybody in this movie, they each have a different perspective and they each have their own motivations.
And goal.
And it's creating right and wrong.
Yeah.
The most obvious between those is Thor and Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Both think they're the good guy.
Yeah.
But Odin also, he's not without fault somewhere along this line.
Yeah. And honestly, I think he's lying.
I really wouldn't be surprised. We're never gonna know.
It's like you hear war stories like that though, of just people just doing bad shit.
Sure, especially if you hang out with our grandfather.
Yeah.
Well, I was rounding up hookers in Germany after the war in Berlin.
Yeah.
Please stop, Pap.
Please stop telling us war stories. Yeah, and so. Very few people will understand how that was.
By the way, we get an Incredible Hulk mention. We get a Banner reference.
Yeah,
Do you want to touch on this real quick? I think it'd be good.
I asked if they were talking about Bruce Banner because there's a little something that's kind of wonky.
Yeah.
It's Dr. Erik Selvig.
It's a little bit of a throwaway scene. They're basically like, shoot, most of our stuff is gone.
And Selvig tells Darcy and Jane that the only time he's heard of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that a leading scientist in the field of gamma radiation,
obviously Banner.
It's got to be Banner, came into contact with S.H.I.E.L.D. and was never heard from again.
But that's not what happened.
That's not what happened in The Incredible Hulk.
Maybe that's just what has rippled out into the scientific community. Yeah.
Maybe because S.H.I.E.L.D's after him.
It kind of telephoned out from like, well, it was the military, well, it was a military organization, well, it was S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, because we know that S.H.I.E.L.D. was after him.
Yeah.
Because we know that Natasha Romanoff was at Culver University.
Yes, correct.
And
maybe it was S.H.I.E.L.D. Is Ross a part of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No way.
General Thunderbolt Ross.
No way. U.S. military goes on to be Secretary of State.
There's no way he's involved with S.H.I.E.L.D. because they're a military organization.
There's no way.
It's at least never said, and
I think he's U.S. Army.
That sounds right.
Because he's wearing camo, too.
True. Very true. We're already retconning the actions of The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
And it was just 2 movies ago. We're 1 movie removed.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah, and we're already changing around.
There's no way Norton was recast already.
Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they already knew he wasn't coming back. But either way, I think as soon as that movie was over, I think they're pretty much in understanding that they were going to be changing things moving forward.
Or maybe they just didn't really care about like little canonical things like that. But then why have this little throwaway scene?
It's odd.
But it's not that big of a deal, honestly. The scene is 25 seconds long.
But it's interesting.
Yeah, it's still interesting. And so Thor hears that the hammer is nearby.
Yes.
And he says, well, I'm going to go get it and go home. Which is what you do. And he goes there, and it is now totally encompassed by S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. built their facility around the hammer. Because they can't move it. Nobody can move it. Truckers tried to move it. That's where we got our Stan Lee cameo.
Yep. He was a trucker trying to move it. It ripped the half end of his car off. Nobody is worthy to go and get this.
Yeah, so we see, and Coulson is at that facility, and he's not the only person at that facility, Joe. Who else was there?
Agent Jasper Sitwell.
Jasper Sitwell was there. No, fuck Jasper Sitwell.
So Thor runs in. He's smashing up the place. His first impulse is just destroying the place. No diplomacy.
Yeah. Fuck that. And Selvig and Jane went with him, but like kind of waited behind.
Yeah.
For Thor to go get the hammer. And Selvig told her not to do that.
Yes. He is taking out agent after agent. He's still incredibly powerful, even though he isn't Thor. and he still knows how to fight, and he's fighting with good, a lot of aggressiveness and attention. And he makes his way in, knocks out some giant black dude, never given a name. There used to be theories that was Luke Cage, which were never correct.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly.
Also,
they at least would have given him. They at least would have given him a line,
like
know?
Luke.
Yeah.
That's dumb as shit. I didn't know people said that. You all are dumb. Not you.
But during this, he's being shadowed, and he's being tracked by Hawkeye. That's never explicitly stated, but we know now it is Jeremy Renner Agent Barton. Jeremy Renner is Hawkeye.
That's who we were excited about, not Jasper Sitwell. Joe was making a joke.
Yes. Who will eventually go on to be an Avenger.
A badass Avenger.
Yeah. So how many Avengers have we been introduced to, by the way? 4? 5?
Stark, Banner, Thor, Hawkeye, Scar, and
Romanoff.
We got one more.
Yeah, we're just missing Captain America, and that's really it for Phase 1.
Yeah. Damn, that's so true.
Yeah, we've met almost everyone.
Because they didn't give everybody a solo movie, but I think they gave the right ones a solo movie.
I agree, and we can talk about that when we get to Avengers.
Yeah.
What reshuffling we
Avengers
may have done.
will be a longer episode, probably.
Oh, 100%. And we may just do like a Marvel Phase 1
recap
breakdown wholesale.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
Coulson is still there. Coulson makes the executive decision. They could have fired on Thor, but he kind of let it play out.
Hawkeye could have hit him in the head with an arrow.
100%. Thor goes to lift the hammer. He's unworthy.
Can't do
and
it.
it essentially breaks him emotionally.
Can't do it, bro.
And he just gets led away without further incident.
Yeah. Yeah, he's so dejected.
Yes.
And they just take him away. And wow.
How do you think this fight scene works, by the way?
I loved it. It was in the rain. Thor's all muddy.
It was very gritty. It was a much grittier fight than Thor is used to. There's no pageantry.
You know what it almost kind of looked like? Kind of looked like a Daredevil fight.
It did look a lot like a Daredevil fight. Very enclosed spaces.
The
Netflix series. Enclosed spaces and a lot of brawling type of fights. One dude and then another and then another.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It did look a lot like that. Especially in Daredevil, they love to use rain.
Yeah, it's true. And, not Odin.
By the way, how much of Thor being popular and being loved is just him being really good looking? Because he's given a lot of trust by a lot of people.
It's true.
And part of that has to be that he's a gorgeous, gorgeous man.
Yeah, I think they give him a lot of leeway for it.
If he looked like a pile of hammers, he would have been shot.
Yeah, if he looked like...
Hold on, let him go.
Even if he just looked like a normal kind of guy, people would not have been like, let's see how this plays out.
But no, he is a full-on beefcake.
Yeah. You know how those ladies in those Wendy's commercials were asking, where's the beef? It's in the MCU.
Yes.
That's where it is, ladies.
Oh, 100%. MCU Chris's.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, all the big 3 of them.
There's a big scene after this, or it may have been right before this. Loki and Odin. At the end of their scene, I'm not sure we touched on this. We kind of got away from it.
Yeah,
oops. We apologize. At the end of the scene, Odin, due to stress, he is scheduled to fall into the Odin sleep, which is a recuperative, hibernative state that he falls into at set periods. I forget what it is. I'm sure somebody will tell us.
Yeah. And I'm sure it changes.
He falls into this in the middle of speaking with Loki, but unfortunately, there's no one to rule in his absence, which I believe he's had in the past.
Yeah.
And so he's left without anyone really understanding what's supposed to go on now.
Asgard's naked.
Asgard is open to attack, especially in the middle of this very trying time where they're potentially at war with
Jotunheim.
Jotunheim.
Said, yeah, war is on, bro.
Yeah.
That's a quote.
Word for word.
He said that. He said that shit.
So Loki assumes the throne.
Yep.
But he does it, and I find this interesting, with no ceremony, with no big coronation. He just begins to be king.
And it was at this time that Lady Sif and the Warriors 3 wanted to go talk to Odin so he could have Thor come back.
Please let him out of detention.
Yeah, basically. And when they go there, Odin is not in the throne. And it is this is you touched on it when we were watching it live. This is a beautiful shot.
Oh, just the way they introduced King Loki is really cool. They show his shadow, and it's got the big demonic helmet horns, and then it slowly pans over to him. This movie is shot interestingly. There's a ton of Dutch angles where the camera is tilted at not quite a 45, maybe like a 15, 20 degree angle for a ton of shots, and I'm not sure why they do that. It's usually to disorient your audience.
Or do you think it might be a Shakespearean thing?
Maybe.
Maybe Kenneth Branagh touch.
Kenneth Branagh does that throughout the movie, and we'll touch again on it later probably, but I found it very interesting that they kept trying to disorient us at certain times.
Well, and to finish up that scene, Loki does not get Thor back. Basically saying Thor doesn't deserve to come back.
Thor doesn't deserve to come back, and my first act as king can't be to undo Odin's last act. Yeah. Which, I agree with. Yeah, that actually makes sense.
That's a good point. Before Volstagg was like, well, that's a good point.
Shut up, Volstagg.
Played by Ray Stevenson.
Yeah, he does a great job.
And he was the Punisher, wasn't he? Ray Stevenson?
He was. Before this, he was the Punisher.
That's interesting.
Back on Earth, Coulson is sitting down with Thor. He's trying to figure out who he is, where he's getting his training, why he was so effective. But Thor is a broken guy. He is deep in thought. He is at his lowest point. He has been proven unworthy of something that he just always assumed he was worthy of. It is a big shock to his ego. Coulson leaves to go deal with something.
The second he closes the door.
Loki is there in premonition form. Not premonition form. Kind of like a holograph. An astral projection. That's what it is. He's astrally projecting there, as he is wont to do. And I think this really is the first scene where Loki does something that's demonstrably malevolent.
And it's all for Loki.
He lies to Thor.
Talk about for Loco.
Yeah.
It's for Loki.
Anyway.
Threw you out there.
He lies to Thor. He tells him about how...
This show brought to you by For Loco.
Thor Loco and Fleshlights, baby. Living the dream.
Did you say Thor Loco? That was a good one, too.
I didn't, but now I am. Yeah, sure, of course I did. That was 100% on purpose. He tells Thor that Odin is dead. Not true.
Yeah.
And he said that he would bring him back, but Thor's mother said that he should not return.
Played by Rene Russo, and I have a fun fact about that. This is her first role in 6 years.
Oh, no shit.
She kind of retired.
No shit.
But she came back.
I guess, I'm going to guess it was because of a connection to Branagh. If I had to guess off the top of my head.
The rumor or the report is that her daughter convinced her to do it.
Oh, that's cool.
She was like, hey, Mom, Chris Hemsworth's hot. Go do that movie.
Hell yeah, get that fine dick, sis. Sorry.
Mom?
Hell yeah, go get that fine dick, Mom. Excuse me?
Madeline or whatever her name is.
Yeah. So, Loki is becoming more and more openly malevolent, at least to the audience. Do you think that his character is being revealed, or do you think that he as a character is becoming more malevolent now that he is in power?
I think personally he's becoming more malevolent.
I agree. I think power is warping him, and I think he is taking steps that he believes will protect Asgard. I think that's always his thrust throughout the movie, is to become an influential king. And he just thinks this is what's necessary in this moment, and the ends will justify the means.
Well, and I think he's fucked up emotionally.
Obviously, yes.
Because he found out that he's a frost giant.
Yeah.
And why would he lie to him?
And if he brings back Thor...
Thor's king.
Thor might be the fucking king.
Yeah.
So he obviously can't have that. He might be deposed. Somebody might find out. If he gets pushed out, they're definitely going to put Thor back in.
Yeah.
Everybody loves him.
And
he's Gronk.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, we also see around this time that Loki makes a deal with Laufey.
True.
For Laufey, for him to come in with a couple of his guards, Loki, it is revealed that he is the one that let those frost giants in.
He facilitated. It was not a deal with Laufey. Laufey did not know that somebody was going to do that.
Yeah, he just let down the defenses.
He just let down the defenses and let come what may. Mm-hmm. And it was the frost giants that invaded and made their own attack.
Try to steal that relic.
And he did that to disrupt Thor's coronation.
He did it just to spite Thor.
Yes. He believed, from his own point of view, that Thor was a terrible choice for king.
Yep.
It should have been Loki. Thor is someone who will harm the kingdom. Mm-hmm. He'll harm the realm. Yeah. So I have to stop it. If I have to do this bad thing to do something much greater, so be it. That was his point of view.
Yeah. And he says, Laufey, you will be the one to kill Odin. You will stab him through his heart.
Yes.
And because Loki can't.
And then I'll give you the casket as well.
Yeah.
I'll give you the casket of the Winter Soldier or whatever it's called.
The casket of ancient winters.
The casket of Dean Winters. I will give you the head of Dean Winters. The weirdest way to get Dean Winters into the MCU.
Yes.
Holds up
Who's
Dean
that
Winters.
joke for?
He holds up Dean Winters. Everybody, Dean Winters is great.
There's like 10 listeners who are like, ha 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 ha, and then other people who are like Googling Dean Winters.
Oh, right, the Allstate guy.
Yeah.
He basically makes a deal with the Frost Giants.
I'll
let you get a little bit. I'll let you wreck up the joint,
and I will.
And then we're good.
And I'll be king.
And then I'll be king. You guys will do your own thing.
And we'll be good. No war.
Yep.
And
there's never really an explanation of the casket and what that is and what that does.
It seems to enhance the Frost Giants' power.
Yeah, is it a big source of power for them? Is it a religious object for them?
It's definitely not religious. It's a weapon. Because we saw them fucking up Norway with it, and that was the original fight with Odin.
Yeah, so Odin is basically keeping it to keep it out of their hands.
Yeah, basically. And also...
This is when Loki, when he returns, turns on Heimdall. Heimdall basically calls him out.
No. What happened before that actually was Volstagg and them, the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif, went down to Earth.
The Warriors 3 and the lady. They won't include her as a... The Warriors 4, guys. It rolls off
the best warrior of all of them.
It rolls off the tongue as easily as anything else. But for some reason, it's always the Warriors 3 and the woman one.
That's Stanley's fault.
Maybe it's a mythology thing.
Yeah. And they actually go down to Earth because they tell Heimdall, we are going to go get Thor back. And he's like, all right.
He's like, that's cool. Yeah, he's super on Thor's side.
Yeah. He doesn't like Loki.
Doesn't trust Loki at all. Heimdall is able to, he is the keeper of the Bifrost, which is the kind of teleportation bridge that people take to different realms or planets. And it's his job to be the Watcher. It's his job to watch everything that happens, to keep a guardful eye over everything that's going on. He's basically every ex-girlfriend on Instagram, stalking the shit out of everybody.
And I'll make a reference that some people might get. Joe, I know you don't watch the show, but he's almost like the three-eyed raven from Game of Thrones. He can see everything.
I got nothing.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, it's a pretty apt analogy. And so they all go down there, and it's actually a pretty funny scene where they're like, Thor's just like sitting in some sort of room, and all of a sudden he just looks up, and like they're all just standing outside the window looking all Asgardy, so out of place in this New Mexico town. They're like, found you!
Yeah.
And he's like, my friends! And
oh shit!
Stellan Skarsgård like drops his coffee mug.
Yeah.
Because like this is the point where they got to be like, well, now it's really real.
Yeah.
And so he tells them, and they tell him.
It's throughout this time, by the way, that Thor has been drinking a little bit and just trying to figure out what a warrior is. Although he never really takes any steps throughout this.
Well, actually, he does tell Jane. He says that he's basically done. And he resigns himself to exile on Earth.
True.
And he says he's not worthy to wield it, and that's when they develop their romance.
Hell yeah, get you that find exit.
And it really is. Maybe they were using a lot of funky angles in this movie, because the stark, no pun intended, the stark height difference between Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman.
She's maybe 3 feet tall, and he's 6'3". Yeah. And he is literally Thor through no use of movie magic.
Yeah, but honestly, she's 5 feet tall. Like 5'1".
Yeah, she's a very tiny lady.
And he is 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah. But and they don't look, it's not that pronounced.
But I mean,
she's definitely standing on some
But I think it's angles, too.
Yeah.
I think that they're trying to, and they're all sitting down. This is at the point where the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif show up, that they tell him that Odin is not dead. And Thor.
You got lied to, son.
And Thor.
Although they don't tell him that because they don't know he's been lied to. They don't know that Loki talked to Thor at all.
They don't know Loki said that.
Yeah.
But he just says, my father's dead.
They're like, fuck that shit.
They're like, dude, Odin's alive, bro.
Yeah. Bro. Sif.
He's like, what, Sif? She's like, cha, bruh.
So he's like, fuck yeah, let's get back to fucking Asgard.
Let's go guard some ass up
there. Lit, let's go.
Realmstar.
Yeah. Realmstar.
But Loki knows. He goes to Heimdall, and those two have a fight.
Yes.
He knows that he sent down Warriors 3 and Lady Sif. And so Loki freezes him with, is it with his scepter or with the casket?
I thought it was with his scepter.
I think it's with the scepter.
Yeah.
So he can just do anything.
But he is a frost giant now, and he is accepting that part of him as well.
Yeah, it's true.
Never really gets brought up again in the MCU. That he's a frost giant.
Did it have a need?
I think it shows a little bit in Avengers, but not really a lot.
Yeah.
Like he blues up for a second, I think.
Yeah, if his eyes just turn red, that'd be cool. And then Loki sends down the Destroyer, the thing that killed the frost giants in the earlier scene, and it is a monster. Basically, it's a big robotic monster, and it attacks
fire breathing,
and it attacks Coulson and Shield because they're like, what just landed?
Yeah,
and because they're monitoring the situation, and they're like, oh, is that one of Stark's? Because it's a big robot, and so we have a Tony Stark reference, a Bruce Banner reference.
It's very MCU.
Yeah, they're connected. This isn't Ghost Rider from 2000.
Yeah,
around this time actually.
Yeah.
Actually,
it's best we not discuss it too much.
Oh, we'll watch it one day.
Well, one day for this podcast, I'm sure. Won't be near the top.
It'll be fun once we start getting into bad movies.
It'll be a lot more how did this get made than...
Yeah, it's true, actually. And they all start fighting the Destroyer.
I tried to think of a podcast that talks about good movies. The Canon, maybe? I don't know.
And the Destroyer just starts whipping ass.
Destroying, that's
a good way to put it. Destroyer's like, come at me, Thor.
It beats up Sif, it beats up the Warriors 3, these things nobody has a chance against this thing. And that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to take care of threats.
Yeah. Yeah, like Odin designed it. Like,
yeah.
We're meant to assume. And then Thor, without powers, without his hammer, basically he sacrifices himself.
Yes, it is a moment of self-sacrifice. Christ figure. He is a Christ figure in this moment.
Remember when Jesus fought that big robot to die for our sin?
I would be so much more religious than I am. He gets cast out of heaven. He goes through trial, tribulation, and sacrifice. And then he sacrifices his life to become a god.
Yeah.
It's very Christ-like.
Yeah.
Throughout.
True.
But he does sacrifice himself. He's punched and pushed around.
And you know what this sacrifice has done?
It's made him motherfucking worthy, son!
Oh, shit. But the hammer starts...
Mjolnir, boom, zooms right to him. He grabs it.
He armors up.
We're in full-on motherfuck mode. Beats up the Destroyer.
And Jane Foster is like, if she had sunglasses on, she would be tilting them.
Tilting them slightly down to show increased interest in whatever is going on.
And Thor just beats the shit out of this thing, showing Thor's power.
Yes. He is obviously an incredible warrior above any level that he is around.
Like, this thing kicked the shit out of Volstagg and all them in like a second. And Thor just whipped his ass.
But when did he go through something that made him better? I'm not sure that they had that moment. I feel like something's missing. He sacrificed himself, but he always had that within him. Was it just that he needed to literally show it? Because he has all the tools he had at the beginning of the movie.
Well, yeah, but he also...
Except, I guess, he learned more control over his ego.
That, and he also was thinking about other people. He was thinking about those townspeople.
Yeah, true.
He said, we need to get these people out of here.
True.
You all fight them off, I'm going to go... you said to the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif, he said, you go fight the Destroyer. I'm going to try and help these people get out of here. Yeah. And then once the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif got fucked up, Thor was like,
I guess I'll go fight it.
I'm going to go fight it. And then he got his ass.
I'm going to roll them dice.
Yeah.
And beats up the Destroyer. Everything's awesome.
And so Thor's like, he needs to get back to Asgard now to go whip Loki's ass.
Yeah. It's become clear now that Loki has lied to Thor. He is behind something malevolent. They're going to go confront him.
And back on Asgard, we see that Laufey and all them are there. They are going to kill Odin, but Loki betrays and kills Laufey.
Triple cross!
Triple cross. Crisscross. Cross him up like he's...
He wants both of them dead, I believe. He wants Odin dead, and he wants Laufey dead.
Yeah.
He wants all existing
Well, he wants
dead.
to destroy Jotunheim.
Yes. But he won't do it himself. He won't kill Odin himself. He has the opportunity.
Kill Laufey himself.
He does kill Laufey himself. Does Laufey die?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he obliterated him.
Yeah. I must have looked away. What he's really creating here, it's a phenomenon known as a false flag operation, where you, as a leader of a nation state, create an attack on that nation state so that everybody rallies together behind the commander, and you have increased power to basically a blank check to go do whatever you want. When you hear dumbasses say that Bush did 9/11, that's what they're saying, that he did a false flag operation.
Right. Total Lex Luthor move.
Total Luthor move. He wants to cut off Asgard from the rest of the world.
Yeah, he wants to sever...
He wants a Brexit, is basically what he wants. He wants
true.
to Brexit away from the rest of the realms. And he starts trying to destroy the Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge.
No,
Not really a bridge, per se. No, it is, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And so Thor arrives because Heimdall breaks free of his icy prison.
Yes, and so he's able to bring forth Thor immediately. And Thor confronts Loki. They're going to fight.
And they do. Thor promptly kicks his ass.
I think it's interesting that they're literally fighting on the Bifrost. They're literally fighting between worlds.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting symbolism there at the end of the movie, that they're not fighting in Asgard, they're not fighting on Earth, we're fighting between the two.
On a bridge.
For the two.
Yeah.
And for all of the realms,
well,
Jotunheim and beyond.
Well, and Loki rigged up the Bifrost to start destroying Jotunheim.
Yes. Essentially, like, supercharged it.
Yeah, and Thor, all he wanted was to go and fuck Jotunheim up. And
yeah, at the beginning of the movie.
And now he's fighting to save it.
And he eventually, to save Jotunheim, he sacrifices his easy pathway to Earth.
Mm-hmm. He destroys the Rainbow Bridge.
He sacrifices his love for his enemy, and that's his growth.
And meanwhile, Odin awakens, and he prevents both of them from falling into the abyss after the bridge's destruction.
Yes. There's a lot of stuff throughout this scene about masculinity and competition and brotherhood.
Yeah.
Loyalty.
And
Loki falls.
Yeah, Loki he falls when Odin rejects. Loki wants his approval.
Yes.
And Odin rejects it.
Yes.
And so Loki lets go of Thor.
Yeah.
And falls himself.
Yeah.
Down.
He is hanging down with nothing to catch him to float away into space.
Yeah.
He can't get what he wants, so he gives up.
Mm-hmm.
And he breaks, and he falls away, falls into a wormhole, not to be seen again for the rest of the movie. We'll get back to that.
Yeah. And
actually, let's get to it now.
And then we also see Thor makes amends with Odin, and he's
much humbler.
And he says he's not ready to be king.
Yes.
He openly says that. And but it also, on the flip side, on Earth, it's sad. You see Jane and all them waiting.
Yeah. She's doing her best. She's not just waiting. She's doing her best to try to figure out a way to go get him.
Yeah.
She's not going to be able to find one, I think, but she is taking action.
Yeah.
And that's a welcome moment in any movie, when a character takes action.
And then, basically, the movie ends.
Okay. Loki's story. I want to talk about that real quick.
There's also the post-credit.
And there's the post-credit. But we have to touch on this before we even get to that post-credit. Loki falls. He falls into a wormhole. He goes away. Where does he go? Let's assume everybody here has seen through to know at least that he will be the villain in Avengers.
Right.
Because he does come back. He comes back multiple times.
I think he goes, and I think he's just kind of traversing.
He just goes through space easily. Can he breathe in space? I guess he's breathing on the Bifrost.
Yeah.
There's no reason to assume he can't, especially as a frost giant.
I think he just somehow makes his way to Thanos.
He comes across Thanos, who he then strikes a deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Because we do see him in the post-cred. Please.
I think that it's a scene in the Avengers. It's that Loki meeting with him, basically. And that other...
I'm not sure. I thought that was more of like a performance reveal. We'll get to that in time.
Wait, what? Performance review?
The scene in the Avengers?
Yeah, where Loki's in space, and he's talking to...
I didn't take that as their first meeting. But we can't really talk about that now,
right, yeah. But I mean, yes, the question.
Post-credit, Erik Selvig, an unknown amount of time in the future...
has been taken into a S.H.I.E.L.D. facility.
Yeah, to meet with Captain Nick Fury. Additional post-credit scene for Nick Fury.
Is he a captain?
I think so.
I think he's just S.H.I.E.L.D. director, isn't he?
It may be in the movies.
Yeah, in the war he was in, yeah.
Fury introduces Selvig to the Tesseract.
Yeah.
But then it is shown to us that Loki is somehow manipulating Selvig.
Yeah, he's behind him when they look into a mirror.
He looks into a mirror, Loki is there, he says something, Selvig repeats it.
Yeah.
So obviously he's operating with Selvig, trying to gain information. Couple of things. One, how long do you think Loki had been manipulating Selvig? Just for this scene?
A little bit before this scene, probably.
Yeah, just right before he came in.
He didn't know he knew Thor.
He had no idea who Selvig was.
Foster theory.
Yeah, he traced him through Jane Foster, because he did know who Jane Foster was.
Yeah.
And he traced him through that somehow.
That's how I think it happened.
It's a bit of an odd scene.
It's kind of confusing.
It's the most confusing of any of the post-creds, certainly.
Oh yeah.
How long has he been in control of him? How did he get to know him? There's a lot of questions that are left unanswered. If they get answered in the further movies, we'll come back to this moment. Something tells me that a little bit more light will be shined on this. And Loki's journey throughout, I think we already touched on that. Do you want us to start talking about characters?
Sure.
Get into characters? I think that would be good. Let's start with Thor. Thor's story is a story about ego, and it's a story about worthiness and power.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think his story works?
Well, like you said earlier, in regards to origin stories, it's a little unorthodox, but I think they hit the nail on the head with it. I mean, he's a character who seemingly had no flaws. But then, it turns out he has a glaring flaw, especially for something as important as being king. He doesn't have diplomacy. He doesn't have peace on his mind. And he only learns that, interesting, when he goes to Earth. Which is interesting because we don't think of this as a peaceful place.
It's interesting that he's powerful on the powerful realm, and he's powerless on the less powered realm.
Yeah,
whichever place he is kind of mirrors where his journey is in that moment.
That's a great point.
Thank you. I don't think that they did enough to show his journey of learning. He never really learns a ton, I believe. But...
I mean,
it's easy to disagree with me on that.
What did Odin want him to learn?
He wanted him to learn more humility. He wanted him to learn He wanted him to learn diplomacy, and he never really shows that. He does still solve everything with force.
I think.
I just think it's a weakness.
Heart changes.
I think we needed one more scene in this where he does change, and his perspective on the universe changes.
Yeah.
To be sure. Very much a Christ figure, as we've touched upon.
Yeah. How about Chris?
I thought Chris Hemsworth did a great job.
Yeah.
This is a character that could very easily be dumb.
Oh,
and I think he carried it well with his stature. I think he carried it well
with his humor.
With his humor, especially. I was going to say with his dramatic moments, but also he was very funny when he needed to be funny. If this character isn't able to, if you're not able to laugh at Thor a little bit, I think the character falls apart.
Yeah.
That's all I got on Thor for right now. Anything else?
No, it's Chris Hemsworth. I mean, they've joked about it before. Even on that SNL bit, he said, they're like, when I was auditioning for Thor, they was like, you're Thor.
Yeah.
And he's like, I walked down the street in Los Angeles for a week until someone offered me a job.
I struggled in LA for 7 days.
Yeah. And it's just, this dude is Thor.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially now, some 5 years later.
Yeah.
Dude is just Thor.
Loki. He's the main antagonist here, and he'll continue to be a main antagonist throughout the MCU. He's one of the biggest villains they have.
I would argue the biggest.
I don't disagree. And I think he works especially well because he is the hero of his own story. To see it from Loki's point of view, he is the rightful king. He is the better choice for king. It gets taken from him. To save his kingdom from a bad choice, he has to do what he must do to regain that standing. And then he is going to cut off his enemies, attack his enemies, and take them out.
And double-cross his enemies.
Yes.
Loki is such a complex character because you feel for him. I mean, he's lied to. Odin straight up lies to him. And I'm of the mindset, as like I said earlier, he lied to him when he said that I brought you here to bridge our two worlds. That's a fucking lie. Because you were never going to tell him that he was a frost giant.
Never.
Because he's, 30 at this point in this movie? A little under. However old Tom Hiddleston was, that's basically how old Loki is.
Yeah.
Seemingly, even though he's ancient. But you were never. Because Loki was never going to leave Jotunheim. The way you do that is if you have Loki be a frost giant as a kid, and you raise him with Thor still. And then Loki assumes the throne, because he's the rightful heir. But that's not what happened. Odin's just a total piece of shit. And I never really picked up on that until this viewing, that, hey, Odin kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Professor Xavier thing where you don't realize how rough the Xavier stuff is until you get a little bit older. Yeah. It's very similar.
And it's like, why'd you do that? But, we touched on the character. I mean, he's in a rough spot. He believes he's doing what's right, and that's what makes a scary villain, is ones who believe they are doing the right thing. And I thought, story-wise, he was great. And I think the portrayal by Hiddleston was great. Clearly so enough that Joss Whedon watched this movie, the director of the Avengers, and said, well, let's just have him be the villain. He saw Loki as good enough to be the villain, not just against Thor, but literally against everybody.
He is incredible, and I think it works well, especially because he's able to manipulate and he's able to turn resources against each other. Tom Hiddleston does such a good job in this movie.
Yeah.
He's so good.
It jumpstarted his career.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Both.
Oh, yeah. This is a movie full of nobodies, save for, at least on the Norse side, not counting Anthony Hopkins. So I guess, just those two.
Yeah. Even Idris wasn't
that big. Jamie Alexander definitely wasn't that big.
No. Who both have had hit TV shows and been in movies. And
Dr. Jane Foster.
Portman's pretty big, too.
True. How do you think she does in this movie?
I really liked her arc because that she's just a very smart person who knew that something was going to happen here, and shit just started happening to her.
Every step she takes in this movie is earned.
Yeah.
And I think she does a good job of still playing incredibly smart, but not knowing anything about the situation.
A little naive.
Yeah. Not naive, no. Just she doesn't know what is going on. She's a very smart person dropped into an unknowable situation.
She's ignorant, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Ignorance isn't necessarily a bad thing. She just doesn't know. She's ignorant to Thor.
Yes.
As I would be, as you would be, as literally anybody would be. And I really like Natalie Portman's portrayal of it. I think she's the best female character we've had yet.
I would agree, 100%.
Up to this point.
Better than Black Widow?
Better than Black Widow and Iron Man 2.
I agree. I don't disagree.
I'm saying up to this point at...
I agree.
I think that gets passed at a point, but we'll get there when we get there.
I agree. Dr. Erik Selvig, as played by Stellan Skarsgård.
Stellan Skarsgård.
He is going to come back several times throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He is kind of just the elder knowledge giver.
He's a smart dude.
Yeah. He's there to give guidance, especially to Dr. Foster. And I think he does exactly what's needed of him in this plot.
Yeah. And I really liked Skarsgård's performance. There was great funny moments when him and Thor got drunk together. That was a great scene.
That was a wonderful scene. It was a nice little scene. And I think we pretty much already talked about Anthony Hopkins as Odin and everything we need to talk to.
Last thing I'll say about Stellan Skarsgård, said it when we were watching the movie, Marvel needs to get his son.
Alexander Skarsgård? Yeah, 100%.
Because this dude looks like Thor. He's the guy playing Tarzan in this new Tarzan movie, for those who don't know. And I mean, go get that dude.
Yeah, I 100% agree. To rank on a couple of themes, there's a theme of ego and the control of your ego versus your id. there's a big theme of submission, of being able to submit to power and submit to things larger than yourself.
Yeah.
And understanding that some things are larger than yourself. The continuing Marvel theme, and it's a big theme in a lot of literature, a lot of conflict coming from lies.
Yeah.
And coming from deception, especially the original deception of Loki being a frost giant, much like how Ross kept all those secrets.
Yeah.
Ross and Odin are not particularly far apart.
Even how kind of Nick Fury kept secrets from Tony Stark.
Also very true. And there is another theme of unearned power versus earned power. At the beginning, Thor hasn't necessarily earned his power in the same way.
That's an interesting thing we've seen in every movie. With the Hulk, Iron Man, and now Thor, they've all earned it by the end.
Yeah.
They've all earned being a hero. Except kind of Tony Iron Man too, but he did. He earned it. Come on now. Hulk, Bruce Banner earned it by fucking up Abomination. Thor has now earned it, and we'll let you know if Captain America earned it. He earned it.
Yes, absolutely.
He earned it the most of anybody, probably.
So this movie, taken as a whole, out of 4 smashed cups on the ground, how many smashed cups do you give it?
So that's saying, like, as a Thor movie, how many smashed cups?
Yes. How well does this work as a Thor movie? Even though it's our frame of reference for a Thor movie.
Yeah.
But if you ever want to go read a bunch of Thor, the best known run is by Walt Simonson.
I've seen Thor.
Yeah. Please go read some Walt Simonson. It's a great time.
I don't know if we touched on J. Michael Straczynski. He was one of the truckers.
Oh, yeah, he was one of the truckers. No, we mentioned, didn't we?
We said that he was in it, but we didn't say what his cameo was. He was with Stanley.
Yeah, he's with Stanley.
I would give this, honestly, like a 3 out of 3.5.
It's pretty good. I would probably go like a 3 out of 4.
Yeah. I mean, what else would I have wanted?
I just want a little bit more on that hero story. I think there's a little bit of loss there.
Sure.
But otherwise, it's quite good.
Yeah. And the post-cred.
The post-cred was confusing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I would put that against the ranking, though.
Yeah, that's fine.
But now it's time to rank it against all the other Marvel Cinematic Universes.
Alright, I got my place.
You got your place? Okay.
So we're going to go
on the
bottom
list,
up or top down?
Give me the bottom up.
Bottom up, Iron Man 2 is still there.
Sure. Obviously.
Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
At 3.
At bronze.
Yeah.
Silver.
Is Thor.
Okay.
Thor's now number 2.
I think we're in agreement that it's either Incredible Hulk or Thor for that 2 spot.
Yeah.
And that's where the separation is going to come.
Yeah. I think most people would give it to Thor, but I think most people's reasonings are wrong for doing that.
It's just that I think it's because Incredible Hulk is much less canon.
Yeah.
And that's why they're doing it. And it's older.
You can just kind of throw it away.
Yeah. It's 3 years older, 2 years older at least.
Something like that.
And that matters. And it's just not canon as much. Those characters aren't coming back.
Except Ross.
Whatever. I'm going to agree with you, although I understand if somebody liked the Incredible Hulk better than they like this. It's not a wide separation between those 2 for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I still think Iron Man 1 has taken the cake so far.
So, I think that's it for the week.
Yeah.
We've got Thor done. There's Thor, everybody.
Yeah.
If you guys want to get a hold of us, this podcast has been growing wonderfully. I'm so happy with what's been going on. We have ways to get a hold of us. If you want to email us in, let us know something you enjoyed, something you didn't like. Corrections are always welcome. upupandawaypodcast@gmail.com. Facebook page facebook.com/upupandaway show. Twitter upupandaway show. Instagram upupandawaypodcast. I think that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, YouTube. We're up on YouTube now.
Oh,
so you guys get a hold of us there. Yeah, that's going to be great. We put all the episodes up there, too. That's a pain in the ass to edit, but we still make it happen.
Yeah.
Anything else, Matt?
Next week is Captain America.
Next week we're getting into a heavy hitter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
He's very important cog.
It is going to be awesome. So, right now, I guess for all of us, we'll see you guys next Tuesday with another Newsday release. Please subscribe to the podcast. We'll see everybody soon.